Starter Islands. The first of many decisions you'll have to quickly make as you begin your journey on the Neo Network Skyblock server. There are many starter islands you can begin with, some amazing, some not so great, and today I'm going to give you all a tour of all the islands on the server so that you won't have to and can immediately jump straight into your own Skyblock Season 2 gameplay. An important thing to note is some islands may be worse than others, but may be preferred for different reasons such as aesthetics. Regardless, this gotta be purely based off value, whether it be immediate or long term, and won't be considering things such as how cool the build itself is. If that's what you're picking based off, I will still show you each and every island for your viewing experience, but most of my information given may not be as crucial to your decision. Still, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get into the video. Your island is your main area for farming, gathering resources, and general storage. As you progress through the game, you are meant to progress your island, and in turn your island was supposed to facilitate this progression. But as you begin the server, you will notice there are many different islands that you can create, each with their different resources and themes. These themes give diverse blocks, some being significantly more useful than others. This guide will be designed to show you each and every island, what is contained on them, and finally tell you which should be preferred when creating your first ever island. Primarily should be noted that while every island is different, they all come with a simple cobble gen, a tree, as well as a chest containing some starter items. These items are always the same, with the most important being the singular cactus. This is crucial to progression, as a cactus goes for 10,000 money per block to purchase, so getting started on a cactus farm as early as possible is essential. In theory, you could keep deleting or making a new island to get even more cactus, but as of recent, a limit has been set where you can only make 2 islands every 15 minutes. This means yes, you can fix a mistake if you chose the wrong island, or if you'd like to duplicate island resources, but this can be only done once every 15 minutes. Though if you have a bunch of buddies playing, you can all duplicate an island's resource and then do it again before all congregating on one of the islands to use all your supplies to kickstart your progress. Now, with these essential thoughts in mind, why don't we jump into islands and what each of them has to offer. Let's start with the Bastion Island. The Bastion Island is an island filled with blackstone, blackstone alternatives, and a few blocks of gold nuggets. It's a neat place with a great design, but hardly supplies anything of worth to the table. Personally, I'd quickly skip out on using the Bastion Island. A common trope you'll quickly notice is the existence of bigger variations of the other islands, and the Bastion is just as guilty. The large Bastion Island is effectively the same as the Bastion Island, but bigger. In turn, that does mean more gold nuggets and more blackstone, but this becomes more of a nuisance than anything else. In theory, you could always just remake the island block for cheaper than many other islands are worth by selling their blocks and still having some left over. For that reason, the large Bastion Island is also an immediate skip. Alas, we now come to the first actually good island, the Candy Island. Yeah, you'd be shocked. This is actually one of the higher tier starting islands and is actually the main reason that many other islands are just significantly worse. While the island has no dirt, sand, useful resources, or anything of the sort, its worth is quickly found in the giant gummy bear before you. See, the gummy bear is made entirely of slime blocks, which mines quite easily. Beyond that, the slime blocks can be turned into slime balls, which when sold gives you a total of 8,325 money to begin with. Not a bad deal. If you want money immediately, this is surely your plan, but if you plan to farm in any way whatsoever, which I highly recommend, I'd skip out on this island for now. The Classic Island. Oh baby, how I've missed you so. It's what it says, to be honest. It's classic. Nothing big, nothing small, a simple tree, cobble gen, and dirt. Is there anything better than sweet nostalgia? Jokes aside, the Classic Island isn't that bad. It comes with more than 20 dirt, which makes it better than the Candy Island if you plan to farm, which at this point is a bare requirement for any island to even be considered decent. Regardless, there are other islands we will talk about that are, well, just better, so it's hard to truly consider the Classic Island a contender. And yes, and now with the big guns, the Coral Island, one of, if not the best island we have to date. This island gives both our glory children a surplus of dirt and sand, not to mention a little top off in gold with some sea pickles and kelp? It's a good island with a neat Easter egg, but don't get too excited. While the island has a surplus of resources, it's heavily shadowed by the giant pool of water slap-daddied in the middle of the island. It's annoying and a pain to be rid of, and truly the only reason I don't consider this to be one of the best islands by far. For the large coral island, feel free to reference everything I just said, as it's, well, more sand, more dirt, more kelp, more sea pickles, more space, and, of course, more water. If you're willing to invest even more time in cleaning the water, this island's great for you, but because I'm lazy, this will actually be one of the only large islands that I like less than their normal counterpart. Which brings us into the Crimson Island, an island themed off the Crimson Forest, therefore being filled with netherwort blocks, soul sand, and, well, crimson trees and dirt. Pretty cool island, but given that netherwort blocks can't be turned into netherworts and you aren't provided with netherworts in any way, the soul sand becomes pretty useless. But with netherwort going for 6,000 per and soul sand for 8,000 per, if you have a strat that requires quick netherwort, it's not a terrible place to begin. Alas, I would probably never actually recommend it. Now, when you talk about great starting islands, it's nigh impossible to not consider the incredibly powerful and efficient Desert Island. This is, in my opinion, the best island by far, giving you a surplus of dirt, as well as not one, not two, not three, but 4 whole pieces of cactus for you to start off with. Including the one in your starter chest, that's 50,000 money worth of cactus just off the beginning. Given even in the late game, cactus is still one of the best AFK money-making methods by far, it's great to consider this as a primary starter island. An immediate drop-off in value then comes from the End Islands. Genuinely one of the most useless islands to date, with even the added benefit of a slight inconvenience to get to your starter Cobblegen. Another island where the large version is liked less than the normal version. Avoid this island for sure. The Ice Islands are likewise pretty useless. Pretty much empty with nothing on it but some gravel and a touch of dirt. It becomes even more useless when you consider that, unlike most islands, it's filled with a block that you need Silk Touch to collect, meaning you can't even sell the block. Another island to just immediately skip out on. But with 2 dreadful islands, we actually pull up to another highly regarded island in the Mushroom Island. Now this may not be expected, as the Mushroom Island has no sand or major blocks, but the convenience of a massive surplus of dirt brings this island into favor. Since mycelium turns into dirt while destroyed, you can easily clear through all the dirt and get started on your basic farm. While I don't recommend, if you don't plan to do much with cactus and want a surplus of dirt for manual farming, this is the island set for you. And alas, from one of the best islands to the best island that's ever graced our eyes. It's the Penguin Island. For legal reasons, that's a joke. The Penguin Island sucks. Some of the fewest blocks with some of the least uses, with its only saving grace being how goddamn cute this little guy is. I'd never recommend this island unless you are an actual psychopath, or unless you are looking for a little hardcore challenge. Alas, eventually the challenge will be over pretty quickly, and you'll pretty much just be a few hours behind everyone else for physically zero reason. Finally is the Warped Island. And, well, it's basically a copy-paste of the Crimson Island, but, well, warped. Warped logs, warped dirt, those twisted little tree things. It's not that good when compared to some of the heavy hitters, but if it's something you fancy, go on right ahead. And that's all the islands. If you want to go back and see any of them, feel free to, but it should be considered that with Season 2 coming around, it's not entirely impossible for all or any of these islands to be revamped. If that does happen, then it would be quite a shame. Regardless, with all the islands covered, we can now decide on a final verdict, assuming everything stays the same. When choosing a starter island, you usually want to consider one thing. How can this island give me an immediate advantage? Most islands are entirely mined and redone in your own liking anyway, so it's good to consider the types of blocks used in its creations and what resources you will gain from terraforming. The large desert island and large mushroom islands are contenders for the best island for this reason, given the surplus of dirt and sand that they give respectively. If you aren't sure which you prefer, the large coral island is nice as it gives access to both at the cost of having a large water lake that you may take a while to remove. If you don't care for sand or dirt for some reason, the Candy Island is also a great choice to get a quick 8,350 money at the beginning by selling all the slime. Personally, I plan to go with the Desert Island, as it provides cactus and sand to begin AFK cactus farming, and your starter chest provides a stack and 16 of dirt, which makes up for not having any darts on the island itself. Likewise, I'm most likely going to double down, deleting my first island and harvesting the resources in order to get even more sand, cactus, and dirt to begin with. Remember, this can effectively be done twice per person, but ensure that at least one person keeps his second island so that you won't give everyone else a 15-minute head start. If you want more details regarding my plan to begin the server, feel free to check out my starter guide, which will be made sometime this week. I wish you all the best of luck, and be sure to say hi if you see me in the Neo Network Skyblock server. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all later. Peace!